The words of my daughter echoed through the hallway as she declared they would not waste their lives on a dying old woman. My sons walked out right behind her without offering a single word of comfort. Exactly 20 minutes after the front door slammed shut, my telephone rang with news that made me collapse onto the floor. It was my physician, and what she revealed changed everything. My name is Clara Vance, and I am 64 years old. Until that fateful afternoon, I truly believed I had raised 3 compassionate and honorable human beings. I resided in a quiet neighborhood within Columbus, Ohio, inside the old colonial home that my late husband, Arthur, and I purchased decades ago. After Arthur passed away from a sudden medical event, I managed the household alone while our children built their own independent lives. My oldest son, Austin, found great financial success in corporate real estate and always demanded undivided attention whenever he visited. My daughter, Vanessa, worked as a marketing director and possessed a rare talent for disguising selfish motives behind sweet phrases. My youngest son, Julian, was a quiet financial analyst who viewed the entire world through the strict lens of monetary value and balance sheets. The only bright light in my family was Chloe, the 17-year-old daughter of Vanessa. Chloe was the single person who called me just to converse, rather than asking for financial assistance or favors. 4 days before my world shattered, I sat in a cold examination room while Dr. Harrison explained my latest medical imaging scans. She calmly explained that a large and advanced mass was spreading through my body. The news felt like a physical blow, but I immediately phoned my children to share the grim diagnosis. Austin promised to arrive the next morning, while Vanessa and Julian both claimed they would abandon their schedules to be by my side. Their responses sounded perfectly identical, and I foolishly mistook their rapid words for genuine devotion. I failed to realize how quickly they reached for hollow promises instead of asking what I required. Austin arrived the following morning wearing an expensive suit, hugging me briefly before his eyes began scanning the valuable antique furniture in the hallway. Vanessa arrived hours later with bags of organic supplements, loudly narrating her care routine like an actor performing on a stage. Julian joined us that evening, offering a long embrace that felt deeply rehearsed rather than comforted by love. My house was suddenly filled with an unsettling choreography. For 3 days, my children maintained an elaborate illusion of deep concern by brewing coffee and sitting beside me during old films. However, I soon noticed their attention constantly drifting toward the secure filing cabinet where I kept our family financial documents. Vanessa frequently lingered near my bedroom vanity, staring intently at the heirloom jewelry box that belonged to my grandmother. Their simulated kindness felt entirely hollow and strictly performed. Later that evening, Chloe came over after her school activities concluded and immediately sat beside me on the sofa. She did not ask about medical prognosis or financial assets, but instead asked about my favorite summer flowers. When I told her I loved simple marigolds, she promised to plant a beautiful garden for me when spring arrived. For the first time in days, I wept freely because her love was real. On the 4th evening, I prepared a traditional roasted chicken dinner to create one final memory of true family unity. As we sat around the table, Austin suddenly demanded that we discuss the legal distribution of my estate while I remained lucid. Vanessa agreed, claiming they only wanted to protect my wealth, while Julian questioned whether my legal will was fully updated. The atmosphere turned incredibly cold. I quietly admitted that my legal arrangements had not been updated since the passing of their father years ago. The reaction was instantaneous and cruel, as Austin openly complained about wasting his valuable corporate time for an unorganized situation. Vanessa stood up in anger, calling me completely irresponsible before declaring she would not pause her life for a dying woman. They rushed upstairs to pack their belongings. They walked down the stairs with their luggage, and Austin coldly advised me to hire an estate attorney before things became complicated. Vanessa refused to look at me, and Julian silently followed them out into the dark autumn night. The heavy front door clicked shut, leaving me entirely alone in a silent house with a table full of cold food. That was the exact moment my telephone began to ring. Dr. Harrison was on the line, and her voice sounded completely breathless and frantic compared to her usual professional demeanor. She instructed me to sit down immediately because a massive administrative error had just been discovered in the laboratory files. My personal imaging scans had been accidentally swapped with the biopsy results of an entirely different patient who shared a very similar surname. The physician explained that while I possessed a small mass that required swift treatment, My condition was actually early stage and highly curable. My long-term prognosis was excellent, meaning I had decades of life left to look forward to. I sat on the hard kitchen floor and began to laugh hysterically. Within 20 minutes, I learned I would live, and I discovered my children were entirely monstrous. I chose not to contact them that night, preferring to sit with the absolute clarity of my new reality. Days later, I noticed the diamond ring of my mother was missing from the vanity, and security footage revealed Vanessa sneaking inside with a spare key. I immediately changed every lock on the house and contacted my trusted family attorney, Priya Okafor, to completely systematically rewrite my entire estate plan from scratch. I instructed Priya to place the family home into a legal trust designated solely for Chloe when she reaches adulthood. The entirety of my substantial retirement accounts would fund a charitable scholarship for local students, leaving my 3 children only a small token sum. I did not make this decision out of fiery anger, but out of cold, unshakable clarity regarding who actually valued my existence. During my medical treatments, Austin and Vanessa merely sent occasional text messages, while Julian checked if insurance covered the hospital bills. It was Chloe who skipped her high school classes to sit beside my medical chair for hours, reading books aloud to keep me company. Her quiet presence proved that true devotion does not require a financial incentive or a grand performance to show up. At Christmas dinner, I gathered my children and calmly revealed the medical mix-up along with the permanent changes to my legal will. The room became completely silent until Austin angrily claimed I was punishing them for a single emotional mistake. I looked at him and explained I was simply believing the reality they showed me when they thought there was absolutely nothing left to gain from me. Julian claimed they acted out of fear, but I told him that fear does not calculate inheritance before asking about physical pain. They had no answers, and I refused to manage their fragile feelings any longer. Weeks later, Austin returned to my porch without his usual arrogance, admitting he had allowed greed and neglect to slowly turn him into a stranger. I appreciated his honesty, but the legal will remained unchanged. I am 65 now, my health is fully restored, and the side porch is beautifully lined with bright summer marigolds. My relationships with my children are distant and formal, resembling broken roads we no longer travel. The 20-minute delay between a lie and the truth saved my life and revealed a profound reality. True love is never loud. It simply shows up when you have nothing left to offer.